All of the Jonesboro mayoral candidates were on the stage last night. A look at the debate coming up.
And we'll take a look at help available for victims of sexual assault.
We'll have these stories plus weather and sports coming up.
This is ASU-TV News.
From the Department of Media at Arkansas State University in Jonesboro, A-State News. A-State weather. A-State sports. This is ASU-TV News.
Hello and welcome to the October 12th edition of ASU-TV News. I'm Kirsten May.
And I'm Austin Heislip. Students at one school district are not having to pay for school lunches this year, thanks to a couple of federal programs.
But some people are questioning whether it's a good idea for all students to receive free lunch. Destiny Quinn serves up the details.
We had a lot of kids who weren't eating, and since we've gone to this, the numbers are incredible.
This fall is the first time all students, regardless of their economic background in Jonesboro Public Schools, can enjoy free lunches and breakfast.
We decided that financially we were well off enough to provide free meals for every student. So no one has to fill out paperwork for free and reduced. The kids who used to be free and reduced, no one knows.
Jonesboro's Visual and Performing Arts School is not only feeding more students, but they are also seeing students eat more. This is all because of the community eligibility provision.
They'll apply the number in our district to a formula, and if you score above 40% in this category, then you're eligible.
I just want the babies fed. I want the kids fed. A lot of times it's their only meals that they get. They'll get breakfast and lunch at school, and then they may not get supper that evening.
Some students say the free lunch has also changed their outlook.
Sometimes when I get free lunch, I just feel like I'm famous.
If we feed one child free, we think we need to feed everybody.
We get to have talk time, and we get to eat delicious food kids gotta eat.
Educators say a hungry child cannot learn. The district hopes this program will fill stomachs and fuel minds. Destiny Quinn, ASU-TV News.
Last night, 6 candidates for the Jonesboro mayoral office squared off in a public debate held at Jonesboro High School. All of the candidates hope to be the newly elected mayor, while the current mayor, Harold Perrin, hopes for re-election to serve a third term. The moderator of the debate was Talk Business and Politics executive producer Roby Brock. The candidates answered questions concerning annexation in Jonesboro, pay increases for city employees, city drainage, and other issues. Each candidate was allowed time for opening and closing statements. Each candidate was then timed when answering questions to assure fairness.
Authorities say a school counselor in Tennessee convinced a student to hand over a loaded handgun in her office. Media outlets report that a 14-year-old boy went to Sycamore Middle School with a loaded semi-automatic handgun and ammunition on Wednesday. Cheatham County Sheriff Mike Breedlove said the student asked to speak with Counselor Molly Hudgens. The student began asking questions that alarmed her, and Hudgens asked if he had a gun. The boy said he did have a gun hidden under his clothing. The boy told Hudgens he was going to kill certain teachers and a police officer. He said he came to her because she would be the only one to talk him out of it. The boy gave the gun to Hudgens, who was called a hero by the sheriff.
An Arkansas deputy who shot and killed a man refusing to drop a shotgun on Monday outside of Little Rock has been identified as Deputy Joe O'Burley. The Pulaski County Sheriff's Department released O'Burley's name and employment history Wednesday. Sheriff's Office spokesman Captain Carl Minden says O'Burley has been placed in paid leave during an investigation. A homeowner reported a man was standing on her porch with a shotgun, acting erratically early Monday. O'Burley responded, and after repeated questions for Leland White to drop his 20-gauge shotgun, the deputy shot White twice in the torso. No other injuries were reported. O'Burley retired from the Little Rock Police Department as a sergeant in 2003 and was hired most recently at the Sheriff's Office in 2012. A person is sexually assaulted every 2 minutes in the United States, which means there is an average of 288,820 rape or sexual assault victims each year. There have been 2 sexual assaults reported on A-State's campus this semester.
I've been looking into how a sexual assault actually affects mental health.
Sexual assault victims first end up in an emergency room where Dr. Brandon Lane works.
First, as a physician, we will assess the patient from a physical standpoint to make sure they have no injuries.
Then, as long as the patient consents, the St. Bernard's Regional Medical Center emergency room doctors will begin the process of collecting evidence that could be used in a later criminal case.
And then we will go ahead and take that evidence to the appropriate law enforcement agency. If the patient wants us to, not by law, if the patient is agreeable to that, but that's the sticking point sometimes that we see here in the emergency room.
Although doctors cannot always give evidence to police, like Dr. Lane says they often want to, they can make sure the patient gets any other help he or she might need, like a referral to a therapist.
Especially if the patient is by herself, him or herself, so that we can get them to be supported early on in their care.
I think the main thing is to know that they are supported.
Matthew Knight is a licensed professional counselor who is now in administration at Mid-South Health Systems. He says conveying that someone is there for them is the most important thing to do for any trauma victim.
That someone believes their story, that someone is, in a sense, in their corner, or at least is listening to what they have to say.
Knight says for many victims there are thoughts of guilt and self-doubt about what they could have done differently. He wants them to know this assault is not their fault and they don't have to try and heal by themselves.
There are probably a lot of women that deal with this alone and that have never told anybody else, that just went home. I think that there are probably women this becomes their secret. And secrets have so much power, particularly secrets that are kept about trauma.
Knight says another difficult thing for victims to do is decide whether or not they want to press charges against the perpetrator. Kirsten May, ASU-TV News.
And I also talked with prosecuting attorney Scott Ellington about the difficulties in prosecuting sexual assault cases. I'll have more on that topic next week here on ASU-TV News.
The weather looked great this morning when I was heading in. Jorge joins us now from outside of the communications building with more.
It feels nice out here for some, but for others it feels like it's kind of hot. But if you look behind me, there's no clouds in the area and no rain, but that could change later today. I'll let you know what you can expect for Wednesday and Thursday later in my forecast.
The New York Institute of Technology opened an osteopathic medical school, and we'll have that story right after the break.
ASU-TV News.
The New York Institute of Technology opened an osteopathic medical school on Arkansas State University's campus this past summer.
Classes have been going on for over 2 months now. I visited the college to give an inside look.
I'm at A-State in medical school. You know, it's really a dream come true.
One of the most historic buildings on Arkansas State's campus got an uplift this past summer. Now it's home to the New York Institute of Technology's College of Osteopathic Medicine. NYIT student Hallie Frederick says the arrival of this new program couldn't have come at a better time.
Getting to go to medical school on A-State's campus, you know, with still 120 people from all over the world is really surreal, because I never thought this would ever happen.
A-State is the only osteopathic school in the natural state providing students with training to better care for the Delta region.
There was a need that wanted to be addressed. One, we had consultants come in and take a large scope of the area and realize in the Delta region that there was such a need in terms of discrepancy and inequity of health in healthcare.
Dr. Brookshield Laurent says the conversation about NYIT coming to Arkansas began about 3 years ago. Arkansas ranks 48 out of 50 states in the number of active physicians, and with UAMS being the only other medical school in the state, A-State and NYIT plan to change that number.
The future holds great and wonderful things.
For ASU-TV News, I'm Austin Heislip.
The explosives put on a good show, but the Broadway Bridge in Little Rock was still standing. Little Rock's landmark bridge was scheduled to come down in an implosion yesterday morning at 10, but after a series of botched detonations, the bridge stood fast. Officials say the bridge's joints were weakened over the weekend to prepare the bridge's implosion, but that didn't seem to help. The Broadway Bridge did finally fall 5 hours after that scheduled time.
Lawyers for the only surviving suspect in last November's terror attacks in Paris have decided not to defend him. They tell CNN affiliate BFM-TV Salah Abdeh Salom plans to invoke his right to silence, and if they won't talk, they can't defend him. Abdeh Salom is a solitary confinement near Paris. The attacks killed 130 people.
Arkansas's governor and lieutenant governor say legalizing medical marijuana would hurt the state's efforts to attract businesses, targeting two proposals on the November ballot they claim would prevent companies from being able to enforce drug-free workplaces. Governor Asa Hutchinson and Lieutenant Governor Tim Griffin on Wednesday were joined by business leaders as they criticized those two proposals going before voters that would allow patients with certain medical conditions to buy marijuana from dispensaries. Arkansas voters narrowly rejected legalizing medical marijuana 4 years ago. Their two Republicans say the proposal will make it difficult to attract companies that want a drug-free workplace. Both measures prohibit employees from not hiring or firing someone for being a medical marijuana patient, but don't require employers to allow workers to use medical marijuana on the job.
Hundreds of Arkansas inmates and parolees are participating in a 3-year federal pilot program that lets state and federal prisoners use financial aid to pay for college. The program reverses a 1994 congressional ban on students in federal and state prisons from being eligible for Pell Grants. Pell Grants are federal funds that do not have to be prepaid and are typically reserved for low-income families. Inmates who are otherwise eligible for federal financial aid, including having high diplomas or the equivalent GED degrees, and who are eligible for release, especially within the next 5 years, could use the grants. Since then, inmates have relied on limited institutional scholarships or families to pay the bill.
It's time for our question of the week. Cody Moore went around campus this morning and asked, who do you think won the presidential debate?
I could listen to Hillary and her actual arguments versus Trump. Everything that he said was sort of jabs. And
I think neither one won the debate. It was disastrous. It needs to stop. It just needs to stop.
I think Trump won the debate because we share similar values than me and Hillary.
I think Hillary Clinton won the debate because she displayed the poise and presence that it requires to be president of the United States.
I think Trump won the debate because he's not a typical politician. He's not going to lie to us. He actually cares about our country, and he's going to defeat ISIS.
Honestly, I don't think anybody won the debate because they both are terrible human beings.
Instead of actually bringing political arguments to the table, he just called Hillary a liar.
Well, it was clear outside this morning, but that might change this afternoon. Jorge, what can we expect?
We're going to expect some storms later today and maybe some storms later this week. I'll explain later in our forecast.
ASU-TV News.
Welcome back to ASU-TV News. We are having such a nice day today, and it might be hot for some, but we currently have 79 degrees out there. Might feel 81 for some people. It's sunny, no cloud right now, but some people north of us are maybe seeing some rain right now. If you look at the radar from across the United States, you can see that there is some rain moving into Arkansas right there. That rain isn't being picked up right here in the Jonesboro area, but there is some stray showers here or there. For the temperatures across the United States, you can see that there is it is pretty nice right here in this area. This green means that we are in the 60s or 70s, and then you can see how that cold front moving in with all these 40s and 50 degrees moving into the mid-south. But like if you look at in the Florida area, it shows how warm it is because it's about 90 degrees, and they are still dealing with that flooding that Hurricane Matthew brought in last week. If you want to look at the state radar, it'll show you the rain that's moving into the state. This is the last radar check that we did at 10 o'clock this morning, but you can see that rain right there. Like I said, Jonesboro has some rain out to the north, but it's not big enough to be picked up on radar. And tonight we're going to see some storms, maybe a 50% chance here or there, but it's going to be very scattered in places of Jonesboro, maybe north of Jonesboro and south of Jonesboro. It is going to be 56 degrees, and you might see it's going to be windy because it's going to be 10 miles per hour winds from the south. For tomorrow, it's going to look like there is some storms in the PM, so it'll be very sunny with 66 degrees in the morning hours, and then the storms are going to move in later that afternoon, and it's going to be about 20% chance of storms. the wind is going to be the same, but this time it's going to come from the northeast. And then if you look at 7-day, you can see those storms that I'm talking about on Wednesday and Thursday, and even Friday we have a chance for storms. So for those that are dealing with high school football on Friday night, there might be some storms that you guys might have to deal with. But for those caring about the homecoming game on Saturday, it looks like it's going to be mostly sunny, so the rain might be out during that time. For Sunday and Monday, it looks sunny as well. Tuesday, there's a chance for storms, but it's so far out there, that could change later this week. Back to you guys.
Thanks, Jorge. All right, tell me about how A-State did last weekend.
Well, the Red Wolves did come on top with the big W, and I have more about conference standings when we come back to ASU-TV News.
ASU-TV News.
It's been a hard season for the A-State Red Wolves coming into Georgia Southern Knight's game. They've been winless, and that includes the embarrassing loss against the 1AAUCA Bears. Georgia Southern came to Jonesboro riding high with a 3-1 record. Here's what happened at the vault against those Eagles. Here, Red Wolves are approaching the field with high spirits to take on Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern with the ball down the middle he goes. Can he be stopped is the question. He is at the 20, the 10, up, touchdown for Georgia Southern. Beginning of the game. Oh no, but the Red Wolves said it won't come that easy. The Red Wolves with the ball. He's looking for a pass up, and it's good. Touchdown caught by Marquise Guyett. As they are showing school spirit. It's always good to show school spirit. The Red Wolves scored, touchdown. Georgia Southern with the ball, looking for an open. It's caught, it's good. Try, swerves to the right, down to the side. He goes to the 40, 30, 20, 10, and touchdown for Georgia Southern. Yeah, it was a good game, back-to-back with the TDs. Red Wolves with the ball. Down the middle he goes. Slips off just like grease, and touchdown for the Red Wolves by Warren 1. Red Wolves with the ball, field goal, all good. Red Wolves with the ball. Justin Hanson's runs, and it is pushed out of bounds slightly, but it's okay. The Red Wolves are coming back. That is fine. Georgia Southern with the ball. The final score, Arkansas State squeaks out the 27-26 win for their first win of the season. Georgia Southern falls to 3-2 on the season. The Red Wolves take their first victory into their homecoming again against the South Alabama Jaguars this Saturday. As the Red Wolves take the win against Georgia Southern, let's take a look at the top 5 teams standing in the Sun Belt Conference. Troy is in the top spot with a 2-0 record. Appalachian State and Arkansas State take the next 2 spots as the only schools with undefeated conference records. Georgia Southern and Idaho rounds up to the top 5. That does it for sports. Stay with A-State News for a homecoming update after the break.
ASU-TV News.
Arkansas State University hosted its very own game show to kick off homecoming week festivities. Students and faculty members enjoyed free popcorn, hot dogs, and a game show Tuesday afternoon in the Student Union at Survey Says.
So this event is A-State Survey Says. We're just going to have people from all organizations just compete against each other and have like Family Feud type questions. Just a fun way to have the organizations that can't compete in homecoming just to come and just have fun.
Survey Says is just one event that is offered to students during the annual homecoming celebration. Other events include Stepping with the Stars, Yell Like Hell, and Live from the Red Carpet. The Red Wolves will play South Alabama in the homecoming game this weekend at 6 p.m. in Centennial Bank Stadium. CoverGirl now has its first cover boy. 17-year-old social media celebrity James Charles was introduced yesterday as the cosmetic giant's first male ambassador. CoverGirl describes Charles as a makeup artist and boundary breaker and pledges he'll be the first of what they call boundary breaking. Representatives Charles say his role with CoverGirl includes appearing in a TV commercial for the brand. The teen is a popular beauty blogger with nearly 500,000 followers on Instagram and more than 70,000 subscribers on YouTube.
There is some rain in the forecast, but Jorge is here to tell us if we can expect it to impact that homecoming game on Saturday, Jorge.
Well, if you look at the 7-day, it would not. It shows that it's not going to impact that homecoming game. It should be out by that Saturday, but as of right now, it looks like it's not going to do it. But that rain could come back to Tuesday afternoon.
So we think by Saturday we'll be good.
Yes.
All right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I don't want any rain because I'm really trying to go to that game.
Yeah, so tailgates definitely going to be good. Make sure you
Yeah.
get out there, enjoy some food, enjoy some company. A lot of people are going to be on
Tailgate
campus.
City. I heard Tailgate City will be fun. What do we think? Do we think they're going to win?
Yeah, they should bring on the big W.
All right. No L's.
No
We're taking any
L's.
L's.
No L.
All right. Well, that does it for today's edition of ASU-TV News.
Remember, you can keep up with our updates and story developments on our Twitter feed at ASU-TV News and catch up with what's happening around you by liking our ASU-TV News Facebook page.
For Jorge Kikivix, Jaleesa Benton, and our producers Danielle Spence, Destiny Quinn, I'm Austin Heislip.
And I'm Kirsten May. Have a great afternoon.